Hello. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. I was catching. We got a windy day here, and a little bit of the set was blowing away. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. And, Pete, I'm sure you want to say the same to everyone out there?
Absolutely. Sometimes with you, it's just the way you say things that gets me off on the right note. So we have an early post time here today of 11:40, 10 races on the card. We have a carryover in the Super High 5, which begins in race number 1. And, of course, we have a carryover in the Rainbow 6 with over $60,000 in that pool. It begins on race number 5 today, $62,661. That's off the strength of 3 all returns yesterday with the late surface change.
Yeah, and if it doesn't get hit on Friday, on Saturday, mandatory payouts. And all of you mentioned that great carryover in the Super High 5, which carried over from the last race yesterday, and now 2,500 today. We're going to send it in this first race. We're going to have 9 runners in the race, so it should be a fun day. We got a fast main track, a good turf course. Before we get into the holiday card, the Thanksgiving Day card, a couple of tweets around the country, and I found this tweet. I was looking at it yesterday, went on the site. These are the earnings. Javier Castellano earned over $26 million this year. If you look at Earl Sand, the top winnings was I think $500,000. Pete lost it in here. Ted Atkinson, $1 million. Bill Hartex broke the record in 1956 with $2 million, Pete. You going to be all right?
I'll be fine. I think it's just a matter of inflation there. But as we say, the racing industry is certainly not what it used to be. We're racing for a lot more money these days. Of course, a lot of things you can tell everyone about that, Ronnie. It used to cost a nickel or something to go to the movies.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I used to go to Nickel and get 2 hot dogs with that, too. And Lafitte Pinkeye Jr. in 1973. $4 million. Go on that site, read all the things. I found it interesting. Apparently, Pete did not. And the other thing I want to point out is we have someone's going to be joining us here this winter at Gulfstream Park at the championship meet, and that is Gabby Gaudette. And there's her selections for the Thanksgiving Day card. Up at Laurel, they have 3 carryovers this afternoon, and she will be down here for the whole winter giving you some useful insights on TV from starting on opening day right till the end of the championship meet.
Opening day of the championship meet is 1 week from Saturday, December the 5th, with the Claiming Crown. We close out our season here at the Fall Turf Festival this coming Saturday with, as you said, a stakes-laden 2-year-old car contest and a first post time of 12 noon. We start at 12 noon both tomorrow and on Saturday to close it out. The good news and bad news are all the same thing. You get rid of me.
Oh, well, wait, that's bad news. And don't forget, on Saturday you said all 2-year-old races. Besides the fact there is nothing else but 2-year-olds running on Saturday. Should be fun. The fields are huge. And as I mentioned, all these carryovers we were mentioning, if they're not hit by Saturday, mandatory payouts on closing day. Now I believe we're ready to go into the first race, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we are. The first race is on turf at 5 furlongs. The turf course is good here this afternoon. A lot of wind right now, though, so the turf course is definitely getting a breeze, drying it out. So that's good news. Turf course starts good. The first race is on the turf at 5 furlongs. Maiden claimers in at the $12,500 level. Scratch the number 9, Some Kind of Fabulous, who was a key contender in this race. Leads us with a field of 9, and the early favorite is a horse that will definitely not be favored at post time, the 4 With a Kiss. The interesting horse is the one coming in from Maryland. Ronnie did not go that direction. Ronnie, you went on the rail with Midnight Lullaby.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it has her claiming tag sliced in half. Races with blinkers this afternoon after returning from an extended layoff. Went up and dueled for the lead and weekend to finish 5th. There was a 5 furlong turf debut at this $25,000 level. Marcial Navarro, he's 30% with his turf sprinters, and I just think that the turf course has certainly, since they took the rail down, inside speed on sprinting seems to have gotten better. The speed seems to hold. So I went with number 1, Midnight Lullaby, on top of my ticket. I went with the 6 in second, who's currently up there at 23-1. That is not going to stay that way. Lady Nora has license to improve. She went up duel for the lead, yielded late to finish in a dead heat for 3rd. Her career debut at this level of distance. I like the recent 3 furlong bullet workout over the track. So a couple of speed plays. I don't think both need to be on the lead. I think one can, it depends up to the jockey who's going to sit off that pace.
Well, you'd have to think it's going to be Lady Nura that'll track Midnight Lullaby. As you said, Midnight Lullaby has the inside gate, and she's shown a pretty good early speed in all 3 of her races. Lady Nura just has that one race to go on. The interesting horse is the Maryland Invader that did not make Ronnie's ticket, the 3 3, Secret Diary. She takes a tumble in class from maiden special weights at Laurel, Ellis, and Pimlico and comes into Gulfstream Park West in for the $12,500 tag. Trainer Dane Kabisky trying to win races. He's already won one. We'll see if he can win some more here today.
Yeah, and that was a key race. That race, a couple of winners come out of that. 12 starters that ran again, so 2 out of 12 have won in that race. I went with the 2, Forever Lily in third, debuting locally for trainer Ruben Monges after tracking the pace, finishing third and second, respectively, in a pair of 10,000 maiden races, going 5 furlongs. Meadowlands Turf, Orlando Boca Chica is going to get this horse interested early. Another horse I do not think needs to be on the lead, can track in here.
I agree with that. We have a field of 9 to start the afternoon. It begins the 50-cent early pick 5. The second race on the card begins the 50-cent early pick 4. Race number 2 over the main track at 1 mile. We're in for $30,000 here. Non-winners are 2 the category. It's a field of 7, but it's a very contentious field of 7. A lot of different ways to go in here. Ronnie, which direction did you lean?
I went with the number 4, Professor Jack. And this one back in the Giuseppe Isodernia barn is the son of Bellamy Road. He makes his first start. He stalked the action last time out between horses. He finished second. That was against $30,000 condition claimers going 7 furlongs on October 1st. The sophomore is certainly bred to love this distance and beyond.
Well, the question is, Professor Jack has shown speed in the past, albeit it was 23-second opening quarter speed at Gulfstream, but that was sprinting. This horse gets around 2 turns for the first time today. Catches a fairly paceless bunch. Do you figure he's offensive-minded early?
Yeah, I think he's offensive-minded early, and I think the breeding suggests that he's going to actually improve when he gets going around 2 turns. And then I went with the number 6, Pete, in second, and that is Al Caravan, and this is second at this 2 lifetime level back on October 24th. Albeit at 6.5 furlongs drop, stretches out. He tracked last time out. He faded against $35,000 optional claimers going 6.5. Antonio Sano, MSCL Jaramillo. I just think this horse is spotted perfectly here for the stretch out.
Well, he gets Sano's go-to rider and Jaramillo up today. He does have a victory over this course. His only victory in his life came right here in Miami Gardens.
And what about Strike 'em Down? Another getting some class relief after finishing second behind aforementioned Al Caravan in their recent clash and the optional claiming ranks. George Navarro, Eddie Castro atop this previous winner at the distance. Actually, 4 races at the distance with a win, a second, and 2/3. So I think that's 4 for 4 in the money at that distance.
I think that math sounds about right.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, another thing to take note of, I know so much you have the limited edition Pete's handicapping rules,
right.
And if you would notice that in page 26, Exhibit A of that booklet,
right.
You would have second start from New Jersey as the number 1 angle when you're betting races here at Gulfstream Park West. That does apply to number 3, Strike 'em Down. Definitely a horse that will move forward in his second start here locally.
Yeah, if you don't have one of these books, make sure you try and get one. It's amazing.
We do have them available on Amazon.com. We'll move now to the third race. The third race is over the turf course at 5 furlongs, $30,000. The category is non-winners of 2 of life. And we have an interesting horse in here in Loudon's Gray who's getting back on the turf. His last races on the turf were in California, both at Del Mar and Santa Anita. But the horse that you used on top is a horse that's coming in from Belmont and Parks for Eddie Plesa, the one, Clash and Cash. Man, I'm going to have to say that very slowly.
Yeah, that's
Class
a tough
and Cash.
I'll screw it up here talking slowly. So Class and Scash, I did that on purpose, is dropping into this non-winners of 2 lifetime claimer, cutting back to 5/8 of a mile, 2 starts, 1 win, 1/3, bobbled at the start, stalked the pace, finished 5th. 50,000 starter allowance. You mentioned up there at Belmont Park, going 7/8 on an expansive turf course.
Well, I got to say, we're having fun. We're handicapping the races on a Thanksgiving morning, and number 9, Grand the Man, is coming in from Maryland for trainer Mike Trombetta. Second start off a bit of a freshening. This horse showed good speed. He has an outside gate here today, which is probably good news because he can send and try to do the killer crossover.
Yeah, he's debuting locally, as you mentioned. Mike Trombetta is going to have Eddie Castro in the saddle this afternoon. Grand the Man, I think, is has a big shot in here, and I think he's is he on the line? Yeah, he's third choice on the morning line. What about the speed of number 5, Remembering Richie, stepping up after tracking those swift fractions last time out of 21-1, 44-1, finishing, I thought, a game second, beating a length as the favorite against 16 2 lifetime claimers. I think this horse has got to be up near the lead.
I think you're probably right. He's the one of the local horses. You have the two Invaders, the 1 and 9, who probably have the best form. You also have Loudon's Gray, aforementioned horse from post number 6. He's getting back on the turf for the first time. But remembering Richie has the best resume on the turf. He's been first or second in 4 of his 5 races over the turf course in his life.
Yep, so I'm going to use him as my speed play, and we'll have an earlier turf race where you can sort of gauge how it is. I've just noticed over the last couple of days that speed has been better on the turf course, especially since they took the rail down and horses have been running on those pads. You mentioned the wind when we first got on here. Pete's coming out of the east. It's going to hit the horses right in the face as they turn for home.
That's how does that go? If it's we have a headwind turning for home, it's good for the speed too.
Yeah,
right.
That's what they say.
We move now to the 4th race of the afternoon, 6 furlongs to the trip here, $30,000 claimers, which have not won 3 or not won a race in 6 months, or are 3-year-olds running wide open. Let's see. Yes, we do have a 3-year-old running wide open. She's a 4-time course winner. She's a 2-time course winner, 4-time lifetime winner, and a winner last time on this course, number 6, Chat Hills.
Yeah, let's go back and look at that last race. Boy, what a performance this was. And this is a horse, on your early pick 4s that you might want to think to single. This horse just goes right out there and flies up front.
Wanted to show you that the horse that's backing up on the rail in the blue colors is none other than Miss Deja Vu, who came back to beat a heavy favorite in Blavatsky in yesterday's first race. So that's not italicized in your program. The horse that ends up backing up Miss Deja Vu, I don't even know where she runs in here. She might not even be 4th. We'll see. Maybe not even 4th. The point is that she stopped badly behind Chat Hills, but she won well yesterday, not in your program.
Yeah, so that just sort of highlights Chat Hill's performance last time out. And as I mentioned, just want to go back and show you that performance to show just how impressive she did in there. And is the morning line favorite, and I think she'll be bet down in there. Another horse, that was from the George Navarro barn. Another horse from the George Navarro barn is the 8 Scuba Sue. This one finished the second in front of its stablemate, Chat Hills, at Monmouth. It was back in July. Is dropping to this level today after shipping in from Jersey to set the pace and get nailed at the wire. That was a $62,500 optional claimer at this same distance. Class relief showed he could beat Chat Hills up north. What do you think?
I think it has to definitely have a live shot in here. Another horse shipping from New Jersey. She did it last time out. Here to South Florida for trainer Eddie Broom. She won and won for fun under Paco Lopez. Paco gets the return call. We're talking about Ronnie's 3rd play, number 3, Lucky Bella.
Yeah, and I think this one could end up sitting in a catbird seat behind the speed. As you mentioned, shipped in was pretty impressive. Eddie Broom, Paco Lopez going for 2 in a row. Speed up there. Lucky Bella. Good rider in Paco Lopez. Eddie Broom, very few starters so far, and doing very, very well.
Absolutely. Scratch the 2 Mochima in that race, so it's a field of 7. Key contenders for Ron are 6, 8, and the 3. We'll move now to the 5th race. It starts the 20-cent Rainbow 6. You have a carryover of more than $60,000 to chase here. We kick it off with an entry-level allowance race, which will act as today's feature race. It's on the turf course at 7.5 furlongs. And there's a very interesting horse in here, Ron, the number 3. Romeo Lima came over by way of France last time out to Belmont Park to take on entry-level allowance horses. We'll show you that replay. A couple of things to take note of on watching this that you didn't see in your past performance lines. Romeo Lima, that was him in the back there. You didn't even really see him come out of the gate, and then all of a sudden he drops back, and you saw Joel Rosario have to actually ask him for run. He has no trail at all. That's him on the far outside, 4 wide on the course there. He's outside the whole way. He can't trail, and what I mean by that is tuck in behind a horse. And as you know, in Europe, they always like to trail. Unless you're on the lead, you want to slipstream behind somebody, travel in a pack, and then kick off cover to win the race. Romeo Lima did not have that luxury after being a little bit of a flat-footed beginning, then just got out-kicked through the stretch that day. As the betting favorite, it should be noted that Romeo Lima was the betting favorite. It was his first start in this country. It was his first start since April, and Christophe Clement has the proverbial screws tightened here today with Jersey Joe Bravo up.
Yeah, this one stretching out to 7.5 furlongs. That's around 2 turns after that. I thought, as you just showed, Peter, promising North American debut for Christophe Clement. He tracked 4 wide. He finished 4th. Clement had second-time Lasix on this regally bred son of Medagliadoro.
Well, there's good news and bad news if you like the 8 Black Martino. The good news is he has an outside gate because he won from an outside gate last time. The bad news is he's not drawing in off the also eligible list, which is just somewhat of a side joke that trainer Jose Garofalo has been winning races in bunches off the also eligible list, including Black Martino. He won from the 14-hole last time.
Yeah, we talked about this horse last time. Was working on an 9-race losing streak, and that ended last time out. Really came flying at the end, and the horse that he caught was the horse I have in third, and that's Metaphorically. He's going to break from the rail again after setting the pace, and as I mentioned, got caught by Black Martino going a mile. Note the inside pats on the turf, as I just mentioned, I think are better. Metaphorically, right there all the time.
Man, he certainly has improved. He was a horse over the summer that struggled to break through the maiden ranks and has really brought his cards to the table. He's a very reliable horse. He always brings his cards to the table. Should take note, correct myself there. Number 8, Black Martino, last time he was the 14, but with the scratches, he broke from post 10.
Yeah, and you know that Metaphorically, getting back to that one just a second, his best race in his recent races was the one he was disqualified in. I thought he ran really well there. He drifted out a little bit in the stretch, and they took him down. So Metaphorically, would not be shocked that this horse just went to the lead. Just needs a little bit of racing luck to get the job done. But, boy, Romeo Lima, waiting to see that horse run.
I was just going to ask you, this race starts the Rainbow Six. My personal opinion is that you have to take it on faith that Romeo Lima is ready to rock and roll, single from the bell. Are you that confident?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm taking all 3. I wanted to take the 3 Romeo Lima as a single, but I'm not quite sure. So I went a little deeper in there. I singled in the last race again. This new theory that I have one horse singled in race number 10. We'll get to that in a while.
Yeah, we'll get to that after we get through races 6, 7, 8, and 9. We'll go to race number 6 now. My math is pretty good too, Ron. Race 6 on the main
4
track.
races.
Yeah, very good. On the main track at 1 mile, maiden claimers in at the $12,500 level. These are 2-year-olds going long. Lots of questions that need to be answered, including does A.A. Fratello improve? Ronnie thinks he might. He's the second play, but you're going with Think He's Gone. Another unknown, being by Gone Astray. He should handle the change in distance, but he's never been 2 turns.
Yeah, he's just stretching out, as you mentioned, to this mile, responding last time out to that drop of competition. A couple of well-meant second-place finishes. 12-5 maidens going 3/4. He's the son of Gone Astray. He's bred to respond favorably to the distance. He's a young sire, but I just think that this horse can get the distance today. You mentioned the 7 A.A. Fratello. He's the son of Mineshaft, trying 2 turns with blinkers added. He tracked the action last time out. He finished 4th, which should prove to be a useful career debut, going 3/4, and that was on a sealed, sloppy track. Antonio Sano, 21% with first-time blinkers, and he's got leading jock Edgard Zayas in the saddle.
It's an interesting horse that you use third just because his name is somewhat appropriate. Drawbridge. He's been going over a lot of drawbridges. This is his 4th start of his life, and this will be the 4th state that he's raced at. He debuted in Kentucky at Ellis Park, then he went to Indiana, then he went to Maryland last time out at Laurel. He responded to a drop in class last time. It was also his debut going a mile. Should be noted at Laurel, obviously it's a 1-turn mile, so now he gets 2 turns today, but he also had never been on dirt, so all indications are that he's headed in the right direction.
Yeah, and also I like the fact that he responded also to the addition of blinkers last time out with that second-place finish. Jose Carabaro is going to be in the saddle, so should be a horse that I think you got to have on your ticket. He actually is second choice on the morning line.
Race number 6 begins the 50-cent late pick 5. We'll turn our attention now to race number 7, which begins the 50-cent late pick 4. This race is on turf at a mile and a 16th. Fillies of the maiden claiming variety. They're in for $12,500. A fairly tricky race, Ron. Where did you go here? It looks like you went to the 3, Cape Ann. Second start from New Jersey and taking a drop in class.
Yeah, I went with Cape Ann. I want to go back and show you this horse's start in the race. In here, you'll see he's the 6th horse that day and just gets knocked back to, you'll see it here as that horses come over, and when the squeezing stopped, you'll see it's in last, and I just thought that was something I wanted to show everybody. Harry Benson spots this thought of Rockport Harbor where she should be effective. I just thought off that performance. You know, she finished 5th in that race over there, had a shot. Now she's dropping from $35,000 to $12,500 levels. I'm thinking with a clean break, she's a logical contender. I don't know if she's the pick in here or not.
5 to 1 on the morning line.
5 to 1 on the morning line? 5 to 1 on the morning line. In race
Cape Ann takes the drop in class. Second start start in South Florida, second start for trainer Harry Benson. Her race over the Meadowlands turf course was pretty good. She finished fourth, closing ground late in the race after being steadied, turning for home, was trying to work out a trip and it didn't materialize. So this race, I think you would agree with this, Ron, even though we have two scratches, scratch the 11 Paths Fantasy and scratch the 1 Breezin Bree. This race is one of those races where it's really hard to hang your hat on a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really that jumps off the page at you. The other horses I used was the 8 Starship Hostility, dropping, stretching out to 1 mile in the 16th. Had 5 races at the distance, has hit the board in a couple of those, following a third-place finish at this distance versus 20,000 maidens at Monmouth, hitting the board of 1 or 2 starts versus better. That was when it shifted going over to the Meadowlands in their turf meeting. Alan Iwinski, Edgar Prado in the saddle.
A horse that Starship Hostility beat fairly soundly last time out was number 5, Carolyn Spirit. Comes in for trainer Mark Henning. Paco Lopez has the call here. The Invaders appear to be well meant in the 5 and 8.
Yeah, I mean, this one, Paco Lopez, you mentioned the connections, stretch out to 1 mile in the 16th. This horse is 2 for 2 in the money at 1 mile in the 16th, so I think that will help this horse rebound. They're going to put a line through that last one and see if this horse from Mark Henning can bounce back and be on the super high 5 ticket. But you made a great point. This is a tough race to just zero in on one horse.
Carolyn Spirit certainly has a license to improve. The turf course at the Meadowlands last time out was listed as good. It very well may have been, but it also may have been a little bit more good than it was for Carolyn Spirit, because this horse, the last 2 times she's been on an off turf, and those have been her 2 less than stellar performances on the turf. Her best races on the turf have been going long over a firm turf course. She gets that luxury here today. I think she's probably the one to beat in here, even though she's 9-2 on the morning line. If you can get that, I think you probably not walk, you run to the window.
Run.
Yeah. Speaking of running, we'll run the 8th race this afternoon to start the late pick 3. 7 furlongs over the main track. This is another one that this race has a lot more questions than it does answers. These are maiden claimers at the $10,000 level going 7 furlongs. A lot of horses in here trying to break through after having a number of opportunities to win races. 2 scratches in here. Scratch the 4 Chilham Court. Scratch the 7 Gunther Brothers. Ronnie, this is all you. I'm interested to hear where you went in here, and more importantly, why.
I went with number 10, Russian Humor, stretching out to 7 furlongs. Had 2 previous races at the distance with a 2nd place finish after facing hard-knocking next out winner El Gran Callego, going 5.5 furlongs last time out, and repeat winner called Never in Trouble, going 3/4 of a mile back on October 7th. I think this is a much easier spot for this son of distorted humor, so I'm flattered by the horses that he's been running against. Those are all hard-knocking campaigners. You know more than anybody. You've called those horses running all the time. I just think the class relief in here is really going to help number 10, and that is Russian Humor.
Not sure if I agree or disagree or even have an opinion on that, but I love the logic, because a lot of times maiden $10,000 races, you'll have races that are tough, and then you'll have races that are weaker. I would think this would fall in the weaker category. And Ron, if you think that the maiden 10s that Russian Humor's coming out of are tougher than some of these other maiden claimers that the other horses are exiting, that's a great strategy, because it's information that you know that's not readily available to anybody else.
Yeah, and then I threw in 2nd Warrior's Instinct in there, and this one not bad, 4th last time out. So I just thought this one could run better at 7/8 of a mile. I lost the scratch in here of the number 4 Chilham Court, who I actually liked in 2nd in here, and I added West Riders, turning back to 7 furlongs, breaking slowly, got parked 5 wide last time out, better than last. I believe this horse is better than last, could be somewhere on the ticket, but I'm going to go with the Russian Humor off those angles that I have. Alfred McIntosh won a couple of races last week, so the barn is heated up, and he's got Chris McIntosh, is the 10-pound apprentice in the saddle.
Also his son, so it's a family connection. Perfect little karma angle there. On Thanksgiving, we have to be here and enjoy an afternoon of racing. Why not win a race while you do it?
There you go.
Race number 9 on the card is the first half of the late daily double. We have $8,000 claimers, which have not won 3. If you're an older horse, that is. If you're a 3-year-old, you can run wide open. These are racing 1 mile over the good turf course. A scratch in here, and in fact 2 scratches. One of them a key scratch. Scratch the 2. Let's Wrap It Up, who was an easy winner last time out and figured to be a big player today. Also scratch number 5, Some Midnight Star. Field of 9 now to going to post, and of course Chuck Simon and the Vacarezza crew very excited about what they claim will be a Dubai shipper in Umberto. He has to continue his winning ways. He's going for 3 in a row, and he made the Nicoletti ticket.
Yeah, I made the Nicoletti ticket. But, you know, everybody's told you this. I'm a very forgiving sort. That's just my nature. And I went with the number 1, Dreaming of Clarice's, hoping to recapture the form he displayed winning back-to-back turf races here during October after showing speed and retreating in the 2 subsequent starts since then. So I'm going off those 2 performances a little earlier on. Antonio Sano, you mentioned his go-to jock, MSAL Jaramillo, handling the drop to the $8,000 level. So I'm going back to those earlier races there. I think this horse is going to run well in the spot.
A lot of times we can't look at each other. I don't know what Ron was exactly laughing at himself for there, but I'll try not to contribute to it anymore. The horse that you use second is a horse that I think has a big license to improve. He got cooked up in a speed duel, no other way about it, with Dreamin' of Clarice last time out. The question is, do they do it again, or fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me? I would have to think the latter would apply. You're not going to do what you did last time if neither one of you ran any good, talking about the 7-horse Artempus.
Yeah, Tempest stretching out to mile for all the reasons Pete just mentioned. Shipped in from Belmont, duel for the lead. He flattened out in that race. He finished 4th. And as you mentioned a little earlier, the proverbial screws will be tightened this afternoon. That's up to the jocks not to get into another suicide duel. Dreaming of Clarice, I just thought on the inside, level of competition, the barn leading trainer was going to wake up in there. You mentioned the 11 Umberto stepping up to competition after keeping its record on this local turf course unblemished when he rallied from off the pace again to defeat $8,000 2 lifetime claimers going a mile in the 16th. He fits the pace scenario perfectly here if those 2 horses go up there and cook in a duel. But a turn back to the mile is concerned. Here's the key. This horse has had 3 previous races at a mile and has not even hit the board. I think this is a little too short for this horse.
Yes, but using the devil's advocate move there, Umberto is a completely different racehorse in his last 2 races. He took advantage of a really, really good setup 2 starts back to break his maiden. You figured he would be on or near the lead, but we figured wrong. Jeffrey Sanchez dropped him off the speed, and then the horses just did too much too soon, including a horse who would eventually win last week in Caramello. Umberto ran him down. Well, there wasn't really much of that other than maybe it was a flash in the pan, but Umberto proved it wasn't a flash in the pan when he won right back against non-winners of 2. He's hot right now. He's going for 3 in a row.
And named after a really good Italian restaurant, which is always a plus.
Well, Umberto's. You know more about that than
Umberto's.
I do. We'll move now to race number 10. The 10th race is a maiden claiming race. $50,000 the level here. 6 furlongs the journey. Ronnie, you talked earlier about singling in the 10th race. At the point that you said you were singling in the 10th race, I didn't realize which race the 10th race was. This race is tough. How can you single in here?
Well, you know, you talked about running to the window earlier. I'm going to sashay to the window to bet this one, and that's Eric's Talisman. And this one is going back to the main track after tracking the pace and finishing 4th against $50,000 maidens going 5 furlongs on the turf, which is his first race after the claim by Marcial Navarro, who's 20% with the turf to dirt angle. And note the back-to-back swift bullet workouts here in preparation for the surface switch this afternoon. All of that put together, you know, I went deeper in the other legs, and I just thought with this performance last time out, this horse, Eric's Talisman, was going to be my single on the Rainbow Six ticket.
Well, let me play a devil's advocate again. Last time Eric's Talisman ran, he had a bullet breeze in 47-1. Super quick breeze. He's actually breezing even faster than that now. Are you not worried about the fact that maybe he's somewhat of a morning glory, or are you thinking that they're just trying to figure him out, and now he's better because he gets back on the dirt, and the last time he ran on the dirt, he lost to an eventual stakes winner in Golden Pirate?
Yeah, and that's it. I think going back to the dirt is going to be the key. He's been working well on the dirt, so it seems logical to me to make him my single in here. And it's not that. I just wanted to go deeper in the other legs. You know, somewhere you have to take a stance. I can't put a $400 ticket out there. It just, you know, you can't do that when you're the track handicapper. I can't take all the time, so I had to try and single. But what I do with my ticket, Pete, is try and people look at my ticket, and they make their adjustments and make their own ticket. I'm just giving them sort of a guide what to do. So I'm singling that one. But on the late pick 5 ticket, I also added the 6 Silverado Star, who's stretching out an additional half furlong today after returning from over a 3-month layoff to finish 3rd versus this level of competition going 5.5. Eddie Plessis Jr.'s got apprentice Vincente Guidel in the saddle. A couple
Two
wins
yesterday.
2 wins yesterday. And how about the price on number 9, Circular Thunder? You're talking about the super high 5, and this one is stretching out to 3/4 of a mile after I thought a really useful career debut against $50,000 maidens, this same level again, in which he finished 5th, was beaten only 2.5 lengths. And everybody knows if you follow South Florida racing, Kathleen O'Connell is very strong with horses making their second start, always over 25% with that angle. 15-1 on the morning line. What, do you got to get hit in the head with a rock?
Well, here's another thing that you had to use that line. It's like it's patented at this point in time. You talk about following South Florida racing. If they followed it for a long time, they know who you are, right. And they know who I am. If they haven't been following it for a long time, they'd maybe not recognize jockey Wilmer Galvez. He's just getting back to riding races in the afternoon. He has the call on Circular Thunder. Don't let that change you. Wilmer's a veteran reinsman, and he does very, very good work. So glad to see Wilmer Galvez back riding. He had a winner the other day with Dee's Causeway. He has the call on Circular Thunder, try to get a Thanksgiving Day victory.
Yeah, and I hope we can get somewhere near 15-1 on that horse. If not, you got to add him to your super high 5 ticket.
Well, that's a look at today's racing action. We begin today at 11:40, just 29 minutes from now. We hope